Hey lovelies, can you hear the lawn mowing or the lawn mower next door? And it was all quiet this whole morning. I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to set up in a different room of the house and be all tropical for my dearest friend Colman Domingo, who's joining us very shortly. And now all of a sudden you hear the loud mowing sound. So that's going to be our best friend, I think, for a little while. Anyway, welcome lovelies to my 10th chat session of Tea with Karen. Thanks so much for joining us here. Hey guys, it's so lovely to see all of you and all the lovely hearts on the side. Thanks for joining us earlier, half an hour earlier. Dearest Colman had a change of work schedule, so all good. I'm just going to jump right into it, and it gives us the last half hour to talk about June 2nd and your Tea with Karen challenge. So I'm going to talk about all of that after, but let me tell you more about darling Colman. I think one of the things that I love so much about Colman is his zest for life. La vita è bella. Life is beautiful. His energy is so infectious, that carpe diem attitude that he carries with him and emulates every day, which is so incredibly inspiring. I found a quote that I think sums up Colman's energy and just embodies everything that he's about, which I love so much. Colman, this is for you. It's by George Bernard Shaw. This is the true joy in life, the being used for a purpose, recognized by yourself as a mighty one. The being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy. I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community, and as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die. For the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle for me. It is a sort of splendid torch which I have got hold of for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations. I love that quote so much. I'm going to bring Colman on. We have him for half an hour, so enjoy your cups of tea, and I will bring Mr. Domingo on shortly. Got my cup of tea ready. We're all good. Ah!
Hi, my friend.
I miss you so much.
I miss you too, my friend. And that quote, that poem was so incredible. It is so, I don't know, it just really just touched me, because I think that it's funny. It's like, for those that don't even know, we haven't spent a ton of time together, but the time that you and I spend together with us is so valuable and so meaningful, because I think we see each other in that way. We see each other in what we're trying to put out into the world with our intention, and trying to be so clear about that, about bringing people to the light and to love and back to themselves, the things that were set in our minds, in our hearts, and our purpose in the world. And I think that's why we end up doing a show like Fear the Walking Dead, because it is all about purpose and intention. You know what I mean? And who do you want to be, right?
Little did we know that last season, the theme of take what you want, leave what you don't, helping those in need, random acts of kindness, kindness through strangers. Who would have ever thought that that would be more prevalent now, more than ever?
I had no idea. And it's funny, Karen, I'll tell you this, because I think that I actually struggled with that theme. For some reason, I didn't understand why. Because I thought, can people really be this way? Can we be really this selfless and try? And now I understand. It's like they were touching on something that's so real and so true. That, yeah, that is actually at our deepest self. We want to do good. I think, you know, that the world is set up and so complicated, and people have their own, things that they're fighting for, and they get turned around. But I think at our core, we're trying to say, I know that, like, I was looking on my Nextdoor app that I'm sure we all have, that next,
Yeah.
and I saw, my heart has just been going out to this woman who just said that she was struggling, having a hard time, and trying to just, it felt like, she needed some support, some counseling, possibly financial, whatever. And I feel like it's part of us now. I was so moved by everyone saying they're trying to figure out, can we get your children to a shop? Can we do this? Do you need food? I can drop something by. And I said, if you need something, I can drop by some groceries where you are. I can just leave something by your door. And I feel like that is actually the spirit of who we are. That's actually who we are. And so it showed me that as I go back to season 5 and think about that, I said, oh, that's the hope of what we can be. That was true.
Yeah. And from Fear the Walking Dead world to doing now during quarantine, you're wonderful. Oh,
Mm.
it's such like feel good watching your bottomless brunch,
Oh,
which is so wonderful. Comment. I mean, I keep telling everyone this. I said, I think everything that Colman applies himself to, or just even looks at, naturally and immediately thrives. I mean, from from your infectious, lovely personality that just jumps off the screen, off the stage, off the paper, the written word, and then down to watching these glorious videos of you gardening. I mean, first of all, Mama's watching, and she wants to know what your secrets are for creating the perfect sanctuary and perfect garden, because you definitely have a green thumb.
what the funny thing is, I tell your mom, Mom, I didn't know that I had a green thumb. I was constantly just, because I grew up, we didn't have a garden at home. And I have this lovely space, and I thought I want it more green, especially during this time. I find that I've been in the garden a little every day, because I think it's something I can plant that seed, nurture it, and actually see a result. So it's something I can actually do. And I realized how much it just makes me feel a part of the world. And I think that I'm starting to realize that planting is very emotional, and that you put love and care into it. You talk to it. When people used to say, "Oh, you got to talk to your plants," I thought, "Oh, that's silly." No, but it's true.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And they're listening, and they know that they're being loved. They're just any other thing you're in touch with. They're alive. They're living things, and so you're like, "Oh, I treat them as their." I don't have children, but I treat them as if they're my kids now. The first thing I do in the morning is I wake up in the morning. I have the same pattern. I wake up in the morning, I walk to the alarm, turn the alarm off, open up the back door, and I come out and I look at the plants and check on them and see how they're doing. I think that's what parents do with kids. You're like, I'm gonna go check on my kids. How are you growing? You need anything? You all right? You need some water? You need some food? Great. I checked on them, and then I can go and have coffee. But I can't just go and have coffee now. I gotta check on my garden.
You got to check on your babies.
They're doing well. I have daisies. I have California poppies. I have
Those
irises.
poppies, are they
I
hard to
have
grow? Are they difficult
poppies.
to grow?
The poppies, poppies and any wildflowers, they take a minute, because I planted them last year, and I was like hoping that, I don't know, I was new to it, so I thought like, oh well, they're going to show up in like 3 weeks. And well, it took them a year,
Yeah.
and then then once it happened, it's intense. It's like suddenly they're like, oh, there they are. Oh, there's a couple. And then you're like, wait a minute. Come out the next day. You're like, there's 50 out here. You're like, oh my God, this is incredible. So that's what I've been loving. And I've wanted like it's becoming what I wanted, which is a very sort of English garden, which is a little, not as manicured, beautiful, a little wild, lavender, things like that. I have lavender and mint growing in different places. You know what I mean? So I like the idea that like I have some pretty flowers growing, and I have things I can eat growing next to each other.
That's so wonderful. I mean, you've spent quite a lot of time in England, so you have an appreciation for all the beautiful English gardens and stuff. That's something that we've been trying to replicate
Yeah.
in the front with, the running fountain, something, soothing, very feng shui. I have to make sure that I get that in for Mama.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like you said, just creating a sanctuary where you can just sit on your front porch and just look out and just feel just so at one with nature. I'm thoroughly enjoying watching hummingbirds coming in, and I never noticed these things. I mean, this whole
Yeah,
quarantine thing has given us a lot of time to put things into perspective and to reflect. And just watching all the hummingbirds, little birds coming to the fountain, I never had time to really notice those things, and now I do.
and now because we're looking up more, isn't that why? Because also I think, is it because that there are not a lot of planes in the air, and
No.
isn't that what? So when I think now they're taking, like I hear birds right now. I watched the other day. I watched a hawk, sort of running away from a bunch of crows. There was like there was a little fight, a little battle going on up there. And
Mhm.
I have a lot of like pine trees and things like that. I'm just watching. I'm watching Discovery Channel at home. I
Yeah.
just like it's looking.
You know what video you posted? A video, because I mean, I wasn't stalking your page at all, love. I mean, you know, maybe just a little bit, but I was watching that fabulous video clip that you posted from the biomusical you co-wrote, Lights Out, Nat King with Patricia McGregor. That was just so, oh, I mean, first of all, I didn't even know that Dulé could tap.
Dulay's incredible.
Oh
Dulé is one of the most phenomenal tap dancers. He's what they call a hoofer, you know, since he was like 8 years old. Yeah.
my gosh, just watching that clip with and then also his duets with Daniel J. Watts are
Yeah.
just absolutely electrifying.
Thank you.
And I was watching it, and you inspired me to dig out my old tap shoes from drama college
Yeah.
and get in front of the mirror and tap, albeit really badly,
Yeah.
but nonetheless. So
I'm glad.
inspired to, is that something in the future, like what because I thought of you, especially with all your accolades and what you've achieved in the theater world. Do you think theater is going to come back, or is it going to be put on hold for a while? I mean, that's something that really
It,
hurts my soul a little bit.
it, I think theater will come back. There'll be some time. I've been talking to a lot of whether theater professionals. I'm a creative assistant at Juilliard, so I've been having these great conversations with these theater makers as well, and talking about how it's also a great opportunity for us to figure out possibly a new form, a new way to make sure that this live experience doesn't be stymied by the fact that we can't be in the theater together. So it's about figuring out on different platforms and how to do it. So I think that there's a way. I think that we're all sort of, you know, scratching our heads right now trying to figure it out. First, trying to figure out how to make sure that the health and safety practices are instilled first, and then how to actually create this thing. For now, I've been sort of taking it upon myself to like make sure I put out some pieces that inspire, that are from the theater. So I'm like, I think it's possibly even like starting to release some theater that has been recorded out there into the world. I feel like they shouldn't have to wait. I think things get tied up legally and with actors equity and all the unions and all. And I think that we just have to come together and figure out a way to like have access to this, to let it still be a part of our conversation and our enjoyment, even while we're in this pause of actually being together. But I do think that there's a power of like even the idea of that clip that was from the Geffen theater production in LA a couple years. Even that little clip, I knew would have a profound effect and would inspire people, especially in the moment that we're all in right now, when it comes to our discussions about race and America, and just trying to figure ourselves out. And so that was my intention. I always try to put out something because I always go to the theater when I'm trying to wrestle with something I'm thinking about. We always go to those dark spaces to find the light, and so I feel like the more I can start putting out some of that theater out there, the better. You know.
My father always told me growing up that when we reach a crossroads, that most of the time can be quite a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
When you hit a wall metaphorically, that's when miracles can happen. I'm wondering now, like with this whole thing of replanning, restructuring, with bringing theatre to be accessible for everyone, that maybe this will give those an opportunity who've never had the chance to go see live theatre now. If they were to see it virtually, that could be that just opens so many doors and then becomes even more inclusive of more people around the world to enjoy and appreciate the beauty of theater.
I agree. I think that I think, with all the things that have been going on, I think that I think this world has needed a shakeup in some way. And I think, and there's casualties, there are things that are horrifying, there are terrible things happening in the world. But there have always been terrible things happening in the world. And I know that the response from artists like you and myself is to help be gentle reminders that there is light, there is joy, there's places that you can find yourself. I love the fact that you're having this tea. It's about connecting us. You're having tea, I'm having brunch. It's like
Yeah.
we're like, oh no, stop. It doesn't stop because I'm not in front of a camera. It's like, oh no, because what has been placed in us as artists is to say that my job is to be in service to humanity. And it doesn't stop when the work stops. We just got to find another way to do it. And so I think that as a collective, that's what we all have to do. Is like, hey, we still want theater to exist. We got to figure out a way to do it. We got to figure out a way to do television and film, and we will figure it out because that's the human race. That's actually who we are. We are that big. We just have to sometimes to reshuffle the decks,
Yes.
And I think we're just a huge reshuffling. That's it.
You said, you once said, and this quote resonated with me so much to the core because it's something that my parents have always, always brought my sister and I up on. You said, people ask why I do so much, why I am so busy. I have to be. I can't wait on others to present opportunities for me. Never have. 28 years and still going. Keep going. That, I was just like, amen. Amen to that. I remember my dad telling me when I was a little girl, because coming from an immigrant family, no connections whatsoever in entertainment world. Coming from India and England to Canada, and my dad said, "Look, you're a girl, and on top of that, that's something you should be proud of." He said, "But you're a woman of color, and you're going to have to work 10 times harder."
Yeah.
Always. But
Yeah.
he said, if you find something that you truly love to do, it will never feel like a day of work.
Yeah.
And and what you said just speaks to me on so many levels, because it's not about, often they say they don't tell us this in drama college, maybe more so now, but back when I was studying in drama college, they never talked about the in-between periods and what you do in between work or in between those meetings or castings if you were lucky to get some. And I think that time is even more important than when you're actually working. It's what you do in between that time to keep your soul and your spirits alive and inspired and constantly growing and thriving. My father said learning should never come to an end. You should be continually on that quest
For the rest of life. Exactly. None of it really pause, I believe. I think I've been on the phone with students in Mexico and London and in New York. And each time they're asking me, and I think I have a perspective now, like, we've been doing our work for a while. And I know for sure, I tell them, I said, now's the time to store up all the things you need in order to live a life as an artist. I said, what are you reading? What are you learning? What are you listening to? And it doesn't have to do with the role. I said, get that clear. If you've always wanted to learn French, learn French. If you had interest in travel or photography or you name it, I said, all of that stuff is still part of being an artist. Don't think because, oh, I'm getting out of school and I won't be able to audition. It's like, no. You have life stuff. I said, an interest in science and arts and humanities, to figure that stuff out, to fall in love, to fall out of love, to just go for a walk, to sit with yourself and your soul. You need all this stuff to be an artist. It's not just about production and auditioning and all that stuff. I said, no, it's about the stuff of like, who are you? What feeds your soul? What's going to feed your work in the future? Because I think hopefully once we are in a place of some more normalcy and we're out there again in the world, you've built up all this other stuff, and maybe it's even taking you in a different direction, which is not a bad thing. I always love when students, like, I know I went to school for journalism and I came out
You
of it an
did?
actor. I
Did you
Yeah,
study
I
journalism?
went.
Carmen, did you
I
know
did.
I
I went to,
studied journalism for 2 years and I
no,
dropped? Yes.
I studied journalism.
Oh,
I think
that's
that's exactly what, well, I think that's what we wanted to do. I think what we're still doing, look at you. You and I are here on IG having a conversation. We're both journalists. We're interested in people. It's still the same thing. We just didn't, we just moved it into a different direction, you know, but we're very curious about human beings. And that's why, and we want to document that. I think that's what it is, right?
yeah, absolutely. To witness each other's journeys, to
Yeah.
observe, learn from one another. Uh,
Yeah.
I didn't pursue. Did you finish? Did you go see it through? Like, did you do the
I
whole?
at Temple University, degree in journalism. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I did 2 years of journalism before I went to drama college. And one of my mentors was the business manager of a lot of these big music stars in Canada. It was Anne Murray and Rita McNeil. And Lyman told me, he said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I want to go into theatre. He said, well, what are you doing doing journalism? I said, well, I just have a fascination for, for stories. Um, seeing life, observing life, and telling people stories, and being inspired by different experiences, different examples of humanity. And he said, okay, but is that what you want to do? And I said, well, I don't know, it might help with my acting to grasp, I mean, at that time I was only 18. I wanted to grasp more life experience, and I thought that was a great way of doing it. But one thing I couldn't do, Colman, I had so many ethical and moral dilemmas when it came to getting the story. And I appreciate, I feel like journalism has evolved so much, especially with the climate that we find ourselves in now, that it is a responsibility to report the facts and report to really tell the stories of everyone's voices now. It becomes more and more important now, more than ever. But back then, I just had these big moral dilemmas. I couldn't bear to go and knock on a family's door at 3 o'clock in the morning to ask them questions to get the story about how they felt about their daughter being murdered. And I just, it was so hard. I think because as actors, especially in creatives, we feel so much. We're very sensitive and empathetic and compassionate towards other people, especially as actors. And I just couldn't do it. I thought I'm going to be the worst journalist ever.
Like even on our show, whenever Al had to stick around and ask some questions, they researched journalists so well, because when Al, I'm like, well, this isn't the time to be asking that question, but Al would have to ask the question. And I'm like, oh God, I'm like, it feels so uncomfortable. Why is she asking this question right now?
Yeah.
But that was her responsibility. And that she had to, what I love in the way Maggie plays her is like, she had to be a bit, not steely about it, because I'm just trying to get the facts, so the information, this lasts, because that is the truth. And I've got to get it now. I think it takes so much courage, and I feel like I don't have it. I'm like, I'm not that person. I'm like,
yeah, yeah. But I love that you see something new I learned about you.
Yeah.
Because aren't you a doctor now? Doctor.
I am. I just received my honorary doctorate. Thank you. My honorary doctorate from Ursinus College in Pennsylvania.
Oh my gosh.
It's so funny. It's so lovely, because I think I don't know. It starts to make sense. You're like, oh, okay. I think because of what I'm interested in. I think the idea of being a practitioner of what we do, and now I see that I've been doing this work for 30 years, and I do feel like by far, I don't feel like I'm an expert at anything, but I feel like I have a great perspective to raise some questions. And I think that's what I'm very much interested in. So as someone who now has a PhD, I feel like, I think that's the intention, is like to just ask questions, and ask hopefully some of the right questions, or the wrong questions, but trying to get people to go to a higher place in their learning and in their education. I think, and it's funny because I think, especially during this pandemic, I've been very interested and more concerned about students. I've been reaching out and having sidebar one-on-ones with students and trying to inspire them in some way. And I think at our best, they say at our best, we're all teachers. And I feel like it makes sense to me that I know that, like, I feel like I've always visualized, you know, myself with a pipe and in a chair, you know, when I'm in my, you know, 60s, 70s, you know, teaching at some universities, going and, you know, I just imagine that. I'm like, oh, I think that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. I can see it, you know.
Oh, I
Yeah.
you just continue every time. Well, it's so funny, guys, because whenever Coleman and I, if we meet on set or if we're in the makeup trailer, the first thing we do is we go, it's a big smile. It's that laughter and that
We're just
smile
so
that just
delighted with each other. I don't even know. We've always been that way. We're just so delighted with each other. I'm like, and we
it's
make it
like
happen because you get my
oh,
sense of humor as well. You really get my sense.
I do, and I just I mean, a man after my own heart. I mean, it just truly just everything, your energy and all that. That when I see you, I know that I'm entering a place of wonderful creative energy, and it just immediately puts a little giggle and a smile and an extra spring to my steps, shall we say, when I come in. But always,
Well,
but we,
I
yeah.
miss you and our crew and everyone, our cast. I'm really, really. It's just in the last couple of weeks I've been thinking like, yeah, I'm itching. I'm kind of ready to get back in to do some work and but also just like it's almost like I just miss communing with you guys. I miss that communal energy, and I'm really longing for it. You know.
I know, me too. Well,
Mm.
soon,
Yeah.
soon, I know they're working. I can't even begin to imagine to be in their shoes, trying to wrap their heads around solutions, because with every solution pops up a ton of variables. So it's as they navigate through each day, I'm just in complete awe and admiration and deep respect. But they will find a way, and
They will.
and we'll all be back together again soon. Um, there were some Q and A's. I know you've got to leave in a few minutes. We have time for one, at least one
Yeah.
question for you. Um, let's see. Erica asks, are you excited for season 6 and everything that happens to your character? I know we
Are you
can't say
kidding?
too much, but
But let me tell you, because I think the thing that I can say is that we've seen our characters all. We all tried to hang on to this, you know, this hopeful um, sensibility in that climate. And I think that our characters have been challenged. And I think now that you know these characters, now that they've formed this new bond in season 5, you're going to see how they're all stressed. They're all challenged on who are they going to become and who are they now, and what's important to them. So I think I'm very excited about what's been happening for Strand in this season. I'm very happy for the other characters. I think, you know, I won't even say it, you know, we had a nice moment and
mm-hmm.
where it's just like where it's like, yeah, these characters are really trying to. There's big change. Like when I tell you guys there, huge changes, huge. And so it's everyone. Everyone has been dealt a different hand. And then when you come together or come in contact, you're like, whoa, were we cool or were we not cool? Are we great or are we not great? What's happening?
Yes.
A lot of
There's
that.
never a dull moment, that's for sure.
Let's do one more.
Um,
You on it.
you have one more. At Art Haydens asks, Coleman, any writing tips?
I say start with a question. And it starts with a question burning deep inside of you. I think most writers, Tom Stoppard said, great playwrights. Tom
Mm-hmm.
Stoppard says that most writers, if you look at a writer's body of work, they're interested in this. They have the same question again and again. Start honing in on what that question is and what question is about a character. And basically, it's your protagonist is trying to answer that question in a way. Marty Noxon, incredible writer who always influenced my work. She wrote Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She's a great protagonist is always interested and hell bent on a really bad idea of themselves. And it's up for the event of a play or a series or something to change them. So start there. I hope that gives you some framework of like how to get started, how to keep those questions. I write the question up sometimes on a big piece of paper and I keep it going so I know that I'm trying to answer that question. And it's not important to answer that question, but you know that question's out there. How's that?
Well, that's
I
very,
gotta
very
get
good. And on that note,
you.
Bisbee, I love you loads. Thank you so much for coming and joining me for a cup of tea. I miss you and I love you very much, and I can't wait to see you soon.
You too. Have fun with the
Mwah.
rest of them. Bye.
Bye, love. Oh, dearest Coleman, that was so wonderful. Isn't he just great? Hi, Mama. I can see Mama on there. Coleman is so wonderful. Thank you guys for working around the change of schedules. I hope that you guys are all checking in with yourselves daily, regularly, being in tune with these, what do they call it? Corona coaster of emotions, and taking deep breaths in between your Tea with Karen challenge videos. Can I just say, so wonderful. I love this challenge so much. All of you from all over the world have posted your 15 seconds of calm and your photos of places where you find tranquility and calmness. It is so wonderful. And to think, thank you for those. I did post in a tweet to just tweet me and say I give permission for you to use your videos, because we're compiling all your videos and we're going to put them on the Tea with Karen challenge section on my website, www.teawithkaren.com. And I want for everyone to admire and enjoy and find different 15-second clips of these wonderful magical places that you guys have shared amongst our community. So thank you so much for doing that. And just know that when you need a moment to clear your mind, even those 15 seconds or 30 seconds or a minute or a few minutes, whatever you have to spare, to give back to yourself, to tune in with your emotional well-being is so profound, is so important, and so wonderful. So I encourage you guys to go on the website, watch everyone's videos and pick which ones that you like. And anytime that you need a moment to just, you know, compose yourself or to take some deep breaths and realign, tap into one of those videos, even for 15 seconds, take deep breaths, and yeah, it's just magical what even that can do. It's like hitting a quick reset button. Oh, I love it. Everyone's saying hi, Pocket Mama. So I know a lot's been happening around the world. I wanted, and I'm going to find, do I have it here? Yes, I do. I would really love it if we could all actually take a minute's silence to honor the life of George Floyd, to send our prayers, our thoughts, our love, our healing light to George Floyd and his family and all those affected. I light this candle now to honor the life of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and all those who have suffered from violence, racism, intolerance, injustice. So if we could take a minute now to reflect and send our healing light and love, that would be wonderful. So starting now. I think that's a minute. Thank you so much. Thank you for being such kind and amazing human beings out there. I'm going to blow out the light, and all our prayers and thoughts and healing energy flow into universe. Thank you. You know, we, you, me, all of us, we are responsible and instrumental in creating change together. Gandhi famously reminded us all, be the change that you wish to see in this world. And change can only happen with you and I. Creating awareness together, helping one another, holding each other accountable. I humbly ask each and every one of you to spare a few minutes and to log on to www.justiceforbigfloyd.com. I've posted the link on my bio here on Instagram, and if you click on there, you can sign the petition to bring justice for George Floyd, and if you could share the petition, that would be great as well. We have to start somewhere. How many times do we have to witness such horrible things happening? You and I, we make up this world, and we have the power to create a positive domino effect of change. So if you have a few minutes, please, 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 please sign that petition. Thank you guys for tuning in each and every week. As Colman says, you know, we do what we do because we want to engage, connect with all of you, and be there for each other and to witness each other's journeys. It's truly an honor, and for those of you that tune in, it just means the world, and it truly brightens up my day each and every time that I'm here with you guys. I will be choosing 2 winners later on this evening for the Tea with Karen challenge. So you guys will be receiving a care package. I've been having fun putting these care packages together, and I have to do a massive mail out. So that is approaching because there's only so much that my dining table can fill, be filled up with. So I am going to make a trip to the post office wearing a mask. I haven't been out of the house, gosh, guys, in 12 weeks. Hubby's been doing all the trips out for groceries and whatnot, the essentials. But other than that, I've just been out taking a walk with Milo and staying at home. So, but I will go to the post office when it's safe. So thank you for your patience. And it's just so wonderful I get so excited. And I am writing little notes. So just, you know, be warned. You will find those in your care packages. So 2 winners will be drawn out later this evening, which now brings me to something I'm really excited about. So I posted yesterday a note about June 2nd, that you guys should all save June 2nd. This is going to be a little bit different because it is sort of a tea with Karen, but it's baking. And I know a lot of you have asked for, are you excited? You guys ready to get those aprons on and get your baking mitts on and ready? Because Danielle Russell from Legacies and I are going to do a live bake-off. So it might not be the Great British Bake-Off necessarily, but nonetheless, it will be a great bake-off with you lovelies. And we're incorporating, oh, I'm so happy that you guys are up for this. We're incorporating June 2nd's Baking with Danielle and Karen to be a Tea with Karen challenge. So have you guys got pen and paper? I'm going to post this, so don't worry, but let me get this out for you guys so you can see. I know it's going to probably be shown backwards. So our first challenge is going to be our chocolate chip cookies. You can't go wrong, and you can do that in an hour. I've modified the recipe. I don't know about you guys, but chocolate chip cookies is my absolute weakness. I love it. It's my favorite thing, but it's also very naughty. So I wanted to find a way, because you guys know that I did do keto for a little bit to wean me off sugar. And my life has changed not having sugar. I might treat myself here and there. Ginny's jam, Jennifer Goodwin made jam for us, and it has sugar and it's divine, and I will cheat for that. But for the most part, with desserts, you don't need sugar. Monk fruit sweetener is an amazing substitute, just so you know, because I have the worst sugar tooth, the sweetest sugar tooth. So if I can wean off sugar, guys, you can. And I have had no energy dips. My mental clarity is sharper. You know, after you eat lunch or something, you kind of go into brain fog. I don't have those anymore now because I've given up sugar. So if you have a pen and paper, you'll get a head start. And we wanted to post this today, and I will post this shortly after today's Tea with Karen chat. But just to give you a heads up, so you have a few days to prepare before next Tuesday. So you will need half a cup of salted butter. If you've got a pen, you can write this down. Half a cup of salted butter, 3/4 cup of monk fruit sweetener. Now, if you want to use sugar, go ahead. You can absolutely use sugar. But if you want to do a healthier twist on it, and have a healthier chocolate chip cookie, which tastes just as good, I promise, then 3/4 cup monk fruit sweetener. You can use stevia powder, but monk fruit sweetener I find is just so wonderful. Oh, brilliant start 7. You are so loved. Right back, all of you. You'll also need 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. You'll need 1 large egg. Now, if you're vegan, there are substitutes. I know there's vegan egg substitutes, which you guys will obviously know about, and you could try that. This is all about experimenting and having a laugh, okay? So don't worry about the end results. It's the fact that you're doing something and you're creating, and we're doing it together, and that's going to be so much fun. So 1 large egg for us non-vegans, and if you're vegan, you'll find a substitute. 1.5 cups of almond flour. Now, almond flour, I didn't know. I just thought almond flour all was the same, whether it was super fine or not. But there is a huge difference. Apparently, if you have just normal almond flour, that's not super fine almond flour, it's going to make a huge difference in the rise of your cookie. So, and it won't be as rock hard apparently. So almond flour, normal almond flour, 1.5 cups. You'll need 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum. Xanthan gum is a binding agent for those who are gluten intolerant. So, so yes, you can use that. Now, if you're not gluten intolerant, then it doesn't matter. You can use normal. You can get out, I'll tell you what, you can get out your favorite chocolate chip recipe and bake with us. So for those who are gluten intolerant, it's 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum. You'll need 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then 3/4 cup of sugar-free chocolate chips. I know that there are stevia infused chocolate chips. Lily's is really good, and I'm not endorsing, guys. These are just suggestions. And Choc Zero is what I use. They have 0 sugar alcohols and no sugar. It's all monk fruit sweetened, and it really is wonderful. And those were the cookies that I baked on a test run, as you can see. So they came out all right, and I'm still trying to perfect the recipe, but we're going to be doing that. So that's going to be on June 2nd with Danielle. I am so excited. It's going to be a laugh because anything can happen. It's so funny. Now I get it, because when you're doing, like when I watch Great British Bake Off, and if you guys haven't watched the Great British Bake Off or the Great British Baking Show, it's all on Netflix. And just, you know, take a few minutes to well, you'll need about an hour for each episode, I think. They are so wonderful. And just seeing these amateur bakers, and there is nothing amateur about them. I mean, it's next level baking, but it's so inspiring to just see these creations that they make and just find this sense of community and connection with each other through the love of baking. But then I get it, when you're live all of a sudden you second guess yourself, you question yourself about everything. You're like, am I doing this right? Is this going to really come out? But it's all part of the fun. So get ready, because that's what's going to happen. We are going to bake together. You, Danielle Russell, and I are going to bake together at 12 noon PST, 3 p.m. EST, which is 2 p.m. Central and 8 p.m. in the UK. So you'll bake some lovely, lovely cookies. And then what I want you to do afterwards is take a picture of you and your dazzling tray of biscuits, of your chocolate chip cookies. Take a picture and tag hashtag Tea with Karen Challenge. And Danielle and I will we'll draw a couple of winners out at random. And that will be gifted by the wonderful Baxter Blue. Thank you so much, Baxter Blue. They will be giving 2 of you anti-blue light glasses. Have you gone on their website? They have beautiful glasses, non-prescription and reading glasses. And yeah, you guys can pick to your heart's content for those of you that win. So I'm really excited about that. And if you have any questions, tweet us. But I think it's all self-explanatory, and we'll post. So that's what's coming up and happening. And for those of you that want to catch up over a cup of tea on Tea with Karen, you just have to go to my website, www.teawithkaren.com. All the past chat sessions are posted on there. Come and say hello. You guys can leave a suggestion for future Tea with Karen challenges. I've been seeing them coming in. Thank you so much for your wonderful ideas. Yes, so just drop us a line over there, and you might see your gorgeous face on the Tea with Karen challenge wall over there as well. So do visit and grab a cup of tea, and know that, don't worry, if you've missed any past episodes, you can watch over there as well. So I'm going to go back to these Q&As, because you guys, we have about just under 15 minutes left. And if you guys have any on here, I will look up now, but I've written over here. It's so good to see you guys from all over tuning in. Let's go and look at some Q&As. Let me see. There's some good ones here. Oh, I love all these. Any new talents discovered whilst in quarantine? And that is Coven Gemini _ any new talents. Well, gosh, any new talents? Gardening. My mama who's watching, she has a green thumb, just like Colman. And her passion, just like Colman, her passion for all things greenery, you know, planting and flowers, they thrive under her care. And I wish I inherited that green thumb. But Mum did share with me some secrets. And actually, Mum, you know, because I know you're watching, you should post on your Instagram, because I know you're learning how to navigate your way through your account. I'm very proud of you, by the way, Mama. You should post some of your suggestions and your tips and secrets for keeping a plant alive and not killing it, as I once used to do. But no, Mom told me there's this, Mom, what's it called? Is it V11, Eleanor's formula or something that you mentioned that was really, really great? And you put you put a capful of it into a, you know, that kind of size, medium size, sort of flowering water can. And I pour that into all my plants, and it's so wonderful. They just thrive and they grow, and they're so green and lush and healthy and vibrant. So that's my medicine. But Mom told me about that. And she goes on about miracle growth. Miracle growth. She says that's really good. If you guys have any tips for creating a wonderful sanctuary, then please post away, because I know I could use all the tips as well. So that would be great. It says here, 5LG says she just planted a herb garden. I saw that. It looks so wonderful. I think during quarantine, we find these opportunities to do things we've never done before. And I just find so much solace in even trimming the buds of my plants in the garden. but also now we're segueing into getting a what do you call it? See, why am I just brain farting right now? A greenhouse. Greenhouse. There we go. Greenhouse. And we're going to put plants, and we want to put herbs and vegetables and grow them in there. And it's what better time to do it than now. So it's just trying to find these projects that we've never had the chance to. So I don't know if it's necessarily a new talent, but at least I'm not killing them, and that's a great thing. I'm not killing the plants or the gardens, so that's a good thing. So I'm really enjoying that mainly, and doing the Tea with Karen chat sessions. That came from a place of wanting to check in with you guys and connect with each and every one of you, and to remind you constantly that you are not alone, that we're all going through this together, and each and every one of us has our different ways of coping with everything that's happening right now. But it's so important for you to know that you're not alone, that I see you, we see each other, and we are here for one another, especially in trying to establish and create this very nurturing community, which I'm so incredibly proud of you guys. You guys have made that happen. So thank you so much. Like I said, absolute joy. So this is something that's come out of it. And I've been asked if I would continue this after, and I would like to, if you guys want to. I don't know if I could do twice a week, but even if I could do at least once a week would be ideal. But if, you know, depending on filming, if we could segue into maybe once every 2 weeks, something regular, that would be really lovely, because this has just been so joyous. And having people like Colman come on, who just is so inspiring. And I hope that his experiences and his stories that he shared with us today inspire each and every one of you. Oh, good. Vidya says, yes, please. And Charlotte says, oh, we're proud of you. Well, I'm very proud of you. Proud of you guys. And Charlotte, thank you. You guys have been taking pictures from each of the sessions, and I feel like it's like a coffee table of these wonderful moments between my dear friends and I, and you guys have captured all those moments, so thank you. It's just so wonderful. Let's see, have we got any other questions? I should do some shout outs. We haven't done shout outs for a while, so let's do that. Legacy's Charm Descendant says hello. Becky times 92, hello love. Luana says hello. And let's see, Michael, it goes by so fast, Michael Landlord Zachary. Did I get that right? I hope I did. It's just scrolling up. Swan Queen, Swan, I can talk. Swan Queen, let me see, _ 96. Emma Asperger. Emelina, Tom Celtic, TSO, are you ready to bake? Are you ready to bake cookies? I cannot wait to see your posts of cookies. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. Can't wait. Okay, so let's look and let's see what other Q&As. Well, at Alina's side _ I hope I got that right, love. She asks, what are your daily routines? So I don't know about you guys, but finding a new routine in this new norm at the beginning was challenging. I think it took us a while to just wrap our heads around what was happening and digesting, or trying to digest everything that was happening and what that would entail, what that would mean for not only ourselves, our families, our friends, our loved ones, for the world. So that kind of took us time, so much uncertainty. And I know and sympathize and empathize with each and every one of you as well, that uncertainty can evoke a lot of anxiety, which is why it's so important to take those moments, those 15 seconds of calm, to just press that reset button and kind of talk to yourself, have a conversation with yourself and your subconscious. There's so much that our subconscious holds. And one thing that's really important is before you go to sleep, we tend to have, we tend to think about all the things in our lives that we need to do or worry about or think about right before we go to bed. Don't do that. I think I talked to you guys about this. Kind of have a positive brainwashing, is as I call it. So before you go to bed, 5 minutes before you go to bed, you're lying in bed, you're nice and relaxed, hopefully. Just think of all the wonderful things in your life. Remember that gratitude jar challenge we did? Well, pull it out. Read some of those notes that you put in there of all the things that you're grateful for. Think about things that you're excited about, that you can do in the future, things that you'd love to do. Because just even thinking about wonderful aspirational goals that you might have, big or small, it doesn't matter. It could be cooking that dish you've always wanted to try. It could be baking, it could be gardening, whatever it is. Just think about those things before you go to sleep. And just watch and see if they put this ginormous smile on your face and just puts this wash over you of just positive light and energy. And just hold on to that for as long as you can. You know, think about a place or a memory that made you smile, that made you laugh, that made you want to go back and relive again. When you guys ask me questions about my journey or about memories, it always brings a huge smile to my face and it makes me feel good. And I feel like I'm right back in that moment again. And I have you to thank for that. So do that for yourselves as well when you're about to fall asleep. Put the phone away, shut the phone off completely, and just give that 5 minutes to you and your beautiful brain, your subconscious, and think of wonderful positive things. And just see, I'm very curious to know if you guys had a restful sleep, because whatever seeps into our subconscious, that somehow comes out into the ether in our daily lives. So just as important as it is to do some form of exercise, it's really important that we also kind of exercise and clean out our subconscious so that we can allow and fill it up with nothing but positive thoughts to help us cope, to help us navigate through each day. And we take each day one day at a time. It really makes a difference. And I think I told you, right, about Carl. When I was doing this exercise, because Wayne Dyer, God rest his soul, so amazing. I was doing this exercise that Wayne Dyer suggested about the 5 minutes before you go to sleep. And Carl said, well, can you do it for me? I was like, what do you mean, can I do it for you? He wanted me to tell him all the fabulous things about himself, and then he'd fall asleep. So it's kind of like telling him a bedtime story about all the wonderful things about him. And I kid you not, guys, I did, because it was sort of cute and funny. And he fell asleep with the biggest smile on his face. And it was adorable. He was like this. It was so wonderful. So, hey, if it helps, why not, right? So promise me you will do that for yourselves, and start this evening. Just 5 minutes, okay? And tweet me and let me know how it went. I know many of us are trying to create new routines for ourselves, and applaud yourselves for trying to do that, because it's all about the effort that you put in. Don't worry about being goal oriented or the end results. It's the fact that you are motivating yourself to just do something good, to bring some kind of normality or routine into this new norm. And that can be whatever that may be. I'm cleaning a lot. That's part of my new routine. I feel like I'm always cleaning. Carl's cooking a lot too, and I'm trying to chip in by doing some baking or cooking here and there. Taking Milo out for a walk regularly has been such a blessing. And exercising, even if I don't want to, I literally drag myself to my treadmill, and I get on there and I run, and I'm kind of building up to it, and already I can see the change and the impact that that's had on me for the better. So any little thing that you can do that will help create some sort of a routine. Writing for me, that's been wonderful. So any of that, just find writing, write in your journals. That's really important. You're going to look back on this time, and like I said, you're going to be incredibly proud of yourselves, and you'll truly realize how resilient you are. So thank you guys for tuning in. I can't believe it's already 12:30. We had Colman on for the first half hour, and then you and I. So thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you lovelies on June 2nd, and I will get posting of all the ingredients that you need for the baking with Danielle and Karen. Lots of love. Mwah. Bye, darlings.